share with you what's the key to mitigate and reverse pain. So what we're going to be speaking here, and the kind of pain is very general concept, and it needs to be treated carefully. So the pain I'm going to be speaking with you here is about that kind of pain that is not specific, so an idiopathic pain that is being persistent, and that kind of pain that is provoked very likely because postural compensations, because your biomechanics are not working very efficiently. So that's the main pain we're going to be speaking about here, because this is the pain that I'm treating people and patients when they've been suffering with persistent low back pain with no specific cause, or even with a hernia, or with people with chronic neck pain, and this kind of pain that we can approach through the biomechanics. So the first and the most important key, I'm going to be explaining you all of this, is that you need to create new memories. If you want to mitigate and reverse pain, you need to create new memories in two different areas, or we can divide this in creating new memories physically and emotionally. So I'm gonna explain you with a very easy example how this complex process of creating new memories it could work, because you're gonna identify it very easily. So imagine that when you were a child or a teenager, you go with your parents to a cafe, and then they order a coffee, and then the waiter is coming, and when the waiter is gonna serve the coffee to your parents, very unfortunately, the coffee drops down and is going directly into your legs, and you are wearing shorts. So then it creates some burns in your skin, it's creating pain. So at that very moment, what your brain is going to start doing, and your mind is creating different associations into that event. And those associations that your brain is going to be creating are going to be in the different senses, in the smell, in the sensory contact that you had with that boiling coffee into your skin, visually wherever you are, with the colors that the waiter was wearing, even the brand of the place you were. So this example is very important to understand, because it's how we create especially memories, or long-term memories, because they create a very strong emotional impact or association. In order to approach and reverse pain and to create new memories from a physical perspective, in order to utilize your biomechanics, we need to understand the first thing, and it's that we have a very limited and reductionist view about the body and pain, because we tend to think that if we have pain on the back, my problem is on the back. If I have pain on my knee, the problem is on the knee. And let me tell you a very huge truth. Usually and very often, the problem isn't, the root of the cause is not where the problem is. So that's because we need to understand this concept that is fundamental. We need to approach pain, muscular pain, ligament pain, this pain that we're speaking that is idiopathic or because of postural compensations. We need to see the body as a whole system. We cannot deny that the body is designed as a whole system, working together in interconnected systems and lines that we need to utilize. So if we think in an isolated way or in a very local way to treat pain, you won't be successful. For instance, if you have pain on the knee, as we were saying, it's very likely that when you're walking you have hip instability. So that could be as well, because maybe the sensory motor that you have, the sensory perception you have, with the ground when you're walking maybe is not that good, and that's creating probably pelvic instability when you're walking, and that's affecting into the knee because it's not going to be properly aligned, and it's going to create more tension, or the tensions are not going to be distributed equally, and that's going to be leading you into pain on the knee. So this is quite important, but how do you create new memories? Okay, in order to understand how to create new memories, you need to know how the system works. And in order to understand and learn that, I'm going to explain you this with this very nice graphic. Before I carry on, this idea, as I need to be honest, is it's not been mine. It's what I've been studying, and especially from a guy called Neil Halliman, and he works in postural restoration, and he's really good. So that's the reference. So, well, but I'm going to explain you this graphic from my point of view. There's three steps, okay? 3 levels: the input, the filter, and the output, okay? Example: if I want to produce voice, sound, as I'm doing now, speaking, there is a process. The process is that the air is coming up and it's going into the voice box. The air molecules are producing, well, the voice box is producing some vibrations because of the air, of the air molecules, and that's creating sound. But sound is not created till that vibration of the air molecules is going into the ear system, and is creating another vibration that is creating electrical impulses that they're going into the brain, and your brain is interpreting the electrical impulses as a sound. And this is a very important word: interpretation. The interpretation of your brain, okay? So in order to approach and reverse pain through movement, through your biomechanics, it is important to understand this process: input, filter, and output, to really integrate and be aware how you can create new memories. So how does the process work? When you moving, there's a fundamental truth, that is that you should be walking and breathing efficiently without compensation. Why? Because there's something called the fixed action patterns that every species during the evolution have developed in order to survive. Okay, so for instance, if you have a sunflower, when the sun comes out, the sunflower is following the sun. In humans, it has happened the same. You've been designed to be walking, okay? So it's part of the natural process of evolution and growing. So how? But the thing of this graphic that you need to understand is that the input, it's what we could see or say that is like the external world is an interpretation at the end. So everything you see, everything you hear, everything you smell, everything you touch, it's going to go through the filter process of your brain with past memories, especially, and it's going to create the output, movement, wherever you feel. And this is quite important because we tend to deny that what we see, we tend to divide that what we see externally is not our issue. But at the end, it's always, because it's how you interpret it, in your interpretation of that external thing that you could be seeing around. So in order to approach pain and mitigate pain through your biomechanics and movement, creating new memories, you need to understand that on your input, as I was telling you, you have light, your visual system, you have the pressure, you have the sound, and you have the sensory the sensory control, okay? The sensory contact, which is fundamental, which is very important, because you feel your muscles, you can see your muscles, but you feel them, you feel your joints, you feel the pain, you don't see or hear the pain, you feel it. So what I was telling you is that in order to reverse it, you need to create new memories. The thing is that memories are based on past experiences. So how you behave now is based in past experiences, how you move, how your body is supporting forces is due to past memories. And this is a great strategy because, for instance, if I standing up and I'm start walking, my brain, the filter, predicts that as I'm standing up and walking, everything is gonna be normal. It's gonna be as it's been so many years ago. So I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna be walking, end of the story. And this is good because it's a strategy to save energy and we can focus in something else. But this is good till some point, and is when that fixed action pattern is being altered, is being modified, and is not that efficient anymore. What does that mean in real life? So it means that because imagine you work seated long periods of time, because you have scoliosis, because you have because anatomically we tend to go into the right side, because you've been having persistent low back pain or persistent neck pain, that's been creating a fixed action pattern that is being altered. This is something that I find very often with in my practice, and it's very interesting because usually what I try to do with clients and people is my goal is to improve their biomechanics, okay? But in order to improve that, I go through a process. And one of the processes that I do is that I teach them how to be standing up with one leg forward and one leg backward, because that's how we walk. But I teach them this statically. Most of the times when I tell people to be in this position, what happens is that the back leg, it tends to rotate externally. And then when I tell them and I give them feedback, okay, go into an aligned position, and I tell them, feel that, keep controlling this, in order to make sure that they are in alignment, they always tell me, it feels so unnatural. And then in that moment, my brain clicks and says, yes, because the fixed action pattern is being altered. You feel it is unnatural, but it's not unnatural. The thing is that the input is not being the adequate input. So your brain has been filtering that, and it's been creating that output, that position that the brain thinks is the position it should be. So how do you create new memories? So in order to create new memories, think on the example of the coffee that I told you. If you had that situation with a coffee and you want to create new memories, you need to substitute for different and new memories. So for instance, imagine that then you start having a date with a guy or with a girl that you really like, and then you meet every Tuesday for coffee, and then you're having coffee. You start creating a new memory. Or imagine that you have you make a very important deal for your business, having a coffee with the CEO of a very important business, and then you're gonna create a strong association because you make a very good step, an important step, and coffee was there. Or imagine that you have a really nice coffee in Colombia and you had an experience in Colombia, testing coffee, seeing how the coffee beans are produced. you see, you start creating new memories, and probably that event, it will be much differently. It's probably not gonna be, the output is gonna be differently because the input and the filtering is being changed. Does that make sense? Absolutely yes, absolutely yes, it's easy. So how do you create new memories in your mind and your body to reverse pain? So the new memories, they attend to the external sense, the internal sense, and awareness and integration. What does that mean? So the external sense, for instance, when you walking, imagine, is when the heel is in contact with the ground, that's going to create an external sense. Is the ground contacting with your heel. But the important thing is that when that's happening, for example, your hamstring, it should be switching on. When the heel is contacting on the ground, imagine the left hamstring, it should be switching on, it should be activated. Most of the times, that's not what is happening, that's not the output. And that's because the internal sense is so important, and that's what I try to teach and focus in body motion especially, is on the input. Because on the internal sense is when you need to start feeling the right muscle activation. So when you're walking or you are in that position of in alignment, and you feel that alignment, and I tell you, okay, you need to start feeling that position on your knee, on your heels, you start creating a new association with your mind and your body. Same with breathing, because it's all about walking and breathing efficiently. Okay, we could go into throwing or running as well, but at the end, the internal sense is when you start feeling the right sensation, the right feeling, the right momentum in a movement. And at the end, you create that awareness, that integration. So then you're gonna be saying, damn, that's the feeling of walking, of doing this exercise. That's what I should feel when I'm doing the glutes bridge, for example. That's what I should be feeling when I'm breathing, when I'm doing a specific motion, standing up. That's the right feeling when I'm doing an efficient stretching, a functional stretching. So then that's when you create the awareness and the integration. And that's when you create a new memory and you start reversing and mitigating pain, because you're substitution by creating new memories. So that's how it works, and it's quite incredible. And because at the end, what I insist a lot is about connecting your mind with your body, and the focus should be inside when you're moving. At some point you need to see the external, because if you have visual issues, that's going to affect in your biomechanics. But the main problem is that most of the time we put our focus and our energy on the output, on the movement by itself. Or if you have pain, you might go into a good massage or a good physiotherapy. And I'm not saying that that's not useful. It's really, really useful, because there's some things that you cannot change only through your biomechanics. You really need manual therapy. But it's not going to fix or go into the root of the cause, because it's going directly into the output. So it's, for instance, it's like taking a taxi. You might tell to the taxi driver, okay, can you get me from here to here? Yes, of course. But what happens if the taxi driver is not there anymore? So what you want is to be the taxi driver to be driving, because that's when you're gonna go from here to here, because you're gonna be controlling the input, and then you will get the right output, living pain-free or with an aligned posture and with your tensions distributed equally in your body. That's all. Thank you very much. If you think this is useful, and probably if you are a curious person, you probably think that is interesting, please subscribe to my channel. And the most important thing, share this with your friends and with people that you know that they are suffering from pain and they don't find solutions. Because this information that I'm telling you here in Body Emotion is going to create new memories, new associations and beliefs, cognitive memories that they might they might make you think, or they might make your friends think, okay, so now I understand that maybe I really need to start paying attention, not just in copying exercises that I see in YouTube, in understanding and feeling how to do them properly. So thank you very much. This is David El Corobarrutia from Body Emotion. All the best. See you in the next videos that are gonna be exciting.